All right.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for being here. Call to order for Tuesday, May 19th, ADA Compliance Committee meeting. Um, ask that you state your name before you speak. So just start off. Mike Bassett, Vice Chair, Medical Field Representative.
Debbie Lane, I represent AARP.
Sean Logan with the Helena City Commission. Chuck Nunley, Chief Building Official for City of Helena.
David Knott, City of Helena Transportation Systems.
Ann Pichette, City of Helena Housing Coordinator.
April Sparks, admin for the Community Development Department, and online.
Soren Colford with
Just a
A&E
minute,
SMA.
Soren, we don't have sound,
Oh, no.
of course. Try again.
Test, test, test.
Can you hear us, Soren?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm hopeful you can.
Let me try another speaker. Can you try? That maybe we can't hear you. That's the problem.
Yeah. I can test my different audio as well, maybe.
We've got you now. It was our end.
Well, fantastic. For the record, I am Soren Colford over at A&E SMA Design, and I am the architect/engineer liaison.
All right. So we do have a quorum.
Awesome. So everyone review the minutes from last meeting. What's that? When was it? March. Okay. From March. Everybody's reviewed them. Do I have a motion to approve last meeting's minutes?
Well, there's a typo on there. You could bring it up.
Okay. Let's see.
It's further down in that 29.27. It's at the bottom of it. Not the last sentence, but I think the sentence before.
Certain air.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Oh, those are the ones we changed and it didn't take.
Yeah, we had changed those.
Was that the only one where it says R instead of area?
Area, and then it's simply the way the R needs.
The area again would be area. So I will fix that on the Word doc.
Yeah, we're fighting technology to try to change it, and it looks like it didn't save.
No, because I just looked at it this morning.
No, I will get those changes made for those typos before they are finalized.
I'd be happy to make a motion to accept or adopt the March 17, 2026 minutes as corrected.
I'll second it.
Okay. Great. Thank you. And for regular items, ADA concerns, complaint status report, please.
Thank you, Vice Chair. As you may have seen in your packet, we did have one. Did everybody get a chance to look at the packet for the complaint report for this meeting? Okay, so we did have one ADA issue that was raised. We received an email on April 12th. Related to a complaint about the city charging the normal dog license fees for service animals. And it's not a separate fee, which you cannot do. However, as we went through and researched everything, we found that there are different communities around the state that do their licensing differently. However, the city of Helena is able to charge the normal city dog licensing fee for all dogs. And so we addressed that individual's complaint, but also reminded them that there is a 30-day period in which that person can come then to this committee if they want to have that result reheard by the committee as a whole. So we're still in that time frame. I'll make sure to let you all know if we do. The last time we had a complaint, the person did not follow that process and did not ask to come have a hearing in front of the committee. So that's why you only just got the report last time. But I will let you all know if this individual does request a reconsideration, and then that'll be separate on our agenda at the next meeting if that's the case.
Do we as a committee have the capability to waive the fee for this individual? Say we were to make that determination that it was justified. Do we somehow have that capability, or is it just a recommendation that we would make to the city of Helena?
This is Ann. Thank you, Soren. I will have to check with the city attorney to see what sort of process the committee has along with the finance policies. If the individual does follow that grievance procedure and ask for reconsideration, I will find out exactly how much the committee can or can't decide when it comes to that. But it is part of the step is that it comes to the committee. So want to make sure how much of a recommendation, or because I do believe that that would be a larger policy change because it would not be for one individual.
That makes sense.
That is correct, Soren. It would be the latter of the two things that you brought up. It would be a formal policy amendment recommendation rather than just a standalone offering of a fee reimbursement to this one individual.
Okay.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Ann. We'll send it to Ellie Ray. Helena Ford zoning rewrite project update, please.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Well, this I'm sure will be exciting to all of you, certainly to Soren as an architect. But last week, the city of Helena had a kickoff for our zoning code rewrite project. We had some focus groups geared toward various stakeholder groups within the community. We also had an open house on last Wednesday evening at Helena College. We, I think, got some great feedback. We didn't have the update conversation with our consulting team later this week to hear exactly some of the comments received. But we wanted to bring this to your attention because we wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of this effort, and in as much as you were interested, see that you participate in the future as we move forward. We do have a project website created, which April, would it be possible to later on send out the link to everybody?
Can do that.
To the project page.
Mhm.
It's accessible off of the city planning division subpages under the Helena Forward subsection of one of the pages. It's a bit to get there, so we will just direct you to the link. There is a questionnaire that is available to you. We'd love to get more engagement on that. So if you've been interested, even if you don't know a great deal about zoning, we would still love your input to talk about what types of uses you want to see when it comes to recommendations for commercial development and site elements like landscaping, parking requirements. What would you like to see? We do have somebody seated on our zoning policy advisory committee that represents the disability community, and we're really grateful that David Carlson from Disability Rights Montana stepped up to the plate to assist us in that way. But that is really all I had to share for now, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And this is part of a bigger overarching effort that we've undertaken with changes in state law to change our comprehensive plan to a land use plan late last year and do some more immediate fixes to our zoning and subdivision regulations to become fully compliant with changes in state law. And this is just a bigger push effort now, something that we haven't done since 2008, most recently. So we are excited. And if you are too, just let me know. And April pulled up the website just so people can see what it looks like. And under the get involved section of the page, you'll find a link to the questionnaire that I mentioned. Right at the top. We don't have our next in-person public engagement opportunity set up quite yet, so I can't tell you when that will be and what that will look like, but it will be forthcoming. We won't complete this effort until the late summer of 2027, so we have a ways to go still.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that update. All right, I'll send it to Chief Building Official Chuck Nunley for Building Division update, please.
Okay, so I'll just kind of cover what the building division is allowed to enforce as far as accessibility. We follow what the state has adopted as the IBC existing building code, which refers us to the ICC A117.1 accessibility standards for buildings. Our area, what we cover is inside the property lines. So we're only allowed to enforce to this standard. It varies slightly with ADA, not much. It's getting closer and closer as future adoptions are coming forward. We typically start with we do the accessible parking, your van accessible parking, signage, stuff like that. The state has adopted some of the accessibility requirements, but they're more of clarifications of detailed requirements, like for parking, what they want, and signage for like fines, stuff like that. We cover accessible route from the accessible parking space, any of our sidewalks, ramps, as the accessible entry, making sure that there's plenty of clear floor space as required, depending on how the door swings and how you approach. There's a lot to really look at on how it's designed and put together. We mainly do new buildings, additions, existing buildings. The only time we come into play is if they're going to upgrade, do a remodel, and we're also limited on what we can require them to do. In an alteration in an existing building, for example, we're only required to make improvements up to 20% of their contract dollar amount. So we're continually improving accessibility, but not forcing it all at once, because that would limit a lot of improvements and alterations for existing buildings. We look at the restrooms, make sure that there's plenty of clear floor space, door hardware. We also look at kitchen areas and residential, if it's multifamily, 4 units or more. Anything under 4 units, like 3 or less, accessibility is not required. So in conjunction with the building code and the ICC standard, there's a lot to look at. We also we look at reach ranges, protruding objects, like if you're walking down a corridor, if something's sticking out, it can only be like 4 inches. So there's a lot to look at. Signage, like at elevators, bathrooms that are not accessible, directing them to accessible restrooms, stuff like that. Also, we look at the elevators and if they're up to code and whatnot, as far as meeting accessibility requirements, braille, make sure that elevator contractors and manufacturers typically are pretty good about getting accessible requirements on their elevators. So usually those are not a problem. Our guys usually go out and they'll inspect it, they'll pull tapes, make sure everything's the right height, right distance from the walls, just to make sure that accessibility requirements are met. So is there any questions?
Vice Chair. Couple questions. So, you may have said this early on, I'm kind of new to this here, but, so this is like, commercial and multifamily residential, or
Typically your residential, like single family and duplexes and triplexes, don't require accessibility.
so it's a fourplex on,
Yeah, and like townhomes, like if you've got a series of townhomes, they're considered individual single family because there's a 1 hour or 2 hour wall separating them. So that we basically consider that a separate dwelling,
I see.
single family dwelling for each townhome. So there's a lot that we have to go through and look to figure out what actually applies.
Okay, I'm gonna follow up if that's all right.
Yes.
So, what triggers enforcement?
What triggers enforcement? Like,
Is it new
New.
construction and then remodel kind of?
yes.
making-
Yeah, so like if a tenant at one of these businesses decides to do a remodel, let's say it's change of use, there's a list of items that they can use towards accessibility. And this is where designers like Soren would come in and they would have to do kind of a cost analysis of what is going towards accessibility improvements and providing that information when we do the plan review. So ICC and all that, they typically want you to start with accessible route, but most people don't. They usually start with the bathroom if there's improvements to be made there, or door hardware. And we can only require up to 20%. So we can't enforce them to do greater than 20% as long as they're making improvements, like say just putting grab bars in the restroom. That goes towards the 20%. It's greater than 0. It's an improvement. And that's where the Soren and the designer, if they provide that information, that is what they specify as going towards the 20%, it meets code.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Do we dare talk about other site elements upgrades like parking lots?
Yes. Yeah. Parking lots. So if they touch the parking lot, we want, so for every parking spot, if there's 25 parking spots, they need one accessible parking spot. If they're providing, and for every 6 accessible parking spots they provide, they have to have at least one van accessible parking spot. Of course, there's 2 different ways of creating that van accessible parking spot. You got either your 9-foot wide and the parking space by 20 and with a 9-foot wide access aisle, which typically can be used by both sides, or you have a 11-foot wide accessible parking spot and a 5-foot wide access aisle. And of course, you have to have your sidewalk and everything's got to be have the right ramp slope and all the requirements there. It's got to be a minimum of any of your parking spots got to be minimum of or a maximum 2% in any direction, and that goes to the access aisle up to the sidewalk, and then if there's a ramp, it's got to be less than 5% and all that.
And those city inspectors, they get pretty down to brass tacks when it comes to that slope. They bring out the big levels and start to really get into the weeds on what your percentages are. So we usually specify a 1.5% max slope, and we try to push for a concrete pad when it comes to the ADA stalls and access aisles themselves. Otherwise, you end up with a little bit of fudging when you're a little high, a little low, and then you're non-compliant. So we have a few different ways to approach that and make sure we're working with the city to hit it on the nail.
Yes, and concrete is a lot, it's well preferred because you can maintain it. Stays pretty level over the years.
Awesome. Thanks for that update. It's great. Good information. We'll open it up to public comment.
So for the record, we have no members of the public online and there are none in the room.
I'll make public comment.
Oh, well, then staff, I should say.
The municipal infractions code is going to the commission administrative meeting on May 27th. And then we'll go to a full commission meeting either June 1st or the 15th, depending upon how much is on that commission agenda and how late we all want to stay there.
Thanks, sir.
So
I thought it was gonna be discussed in April. They kind of pushed it, waited a little.
budget discussions and other, and then there was a few topics that the municipal infractions intermingled with some police and other, so that they clarified those and made those distinct sideboards. So now this is the final draft going forward.
And Vice Chair, if I might add that this has been kind of an interesting budget season from the standpoint of, I think one of the commissioners had asked that we try not to schedule additional, in the past, we've done additional work sessions to deal with the budget and then just have our regular administrative meetings as we always do, which this probably would have come up at one of those, but what happened was a couple things. One, we decided to just try to fit the budget meetings in our administrative meeting schedule. And we lacked a quorum at one of our April meetings. So that meeting never happened. So I guess long story short is a lot of the things that would have ordinarily been addressed at administrative meetings kind of squeezed out because one, we missed one meeting, and then two, we had put budget stuff in and it just compressed everything a great deal. So that's a big part of, I would say, why this probably hasn't been addressed till now. So it's been a little frustrating because we've had two administrative meetings, not to whine, but that, boy, they were 5+ hours long and into the night. And so anyway, that's our sad story.
Vice Chair, if I may,
Mhm.
this is Anne. For Soren who's online, yeah, I know we don't have members of the public here right now, but just a reminder that the commission administrative meetings also have their agendas online. You can find them on the website and you can find all of the meeting materials that the commission sees that staff has prepared. So any member of the public can go out prior to the meeting and see what those items are in case you want to have an opportunity to comment on them. So just remind everybody that you just have to click on the one that says packet, and that's where you get more than just the agenda, and you get all the staff reports and everything, in case that's helpful for anyone.
It's helpful. Thanks, Ian. Any proposals for next agenda, July 21st? None? I have one.
Vice Chair, if I may, this is Anne. I just have one communication for the board as a friendly reminder. If you are talking to people in town, or know people who feel like they want to increase their civic engagement, this committee is still short 2 members, which is why when we received notice that one member couldn't be here, we needed to know everyone else was, otherwise we can't hold the meeting if we don't have a quorum. So as a reminder, if you're out talking to anyone, we are still looking for one person who could serve as a representative of the disability community and one citizen at large. So if you know anyone, just send them on to the board's page of the website, or they can call the clerk's office, city clerk's office. If they have questions, they can always talk to April or I as well if they have questions about the board, and we can point them to the process. But if you know anyone who's interested, if we can get close to a full board, it gives us a little bit of flexibility going into the summer if people are not available. So that's my plug for recruitment among your friends and family and neighbors and workers, if you would please.
Awesome, thanks, Ann. Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Soren.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.